Hi, I'm Gary from Raz Rentals. Way back when the Ghostbusters were on top, there was a lot of great promo art of the guys with some ghastly ghosts. Those ghosts were creative and unlike anything that ever came before. In my opinion, the toys that best captured this look and feel was the ghosts from the first few years of the real Ghostbusters toy line. There would be a few others during the run, but nothing ever beat the Gooper Ghosts. Now that we're 3 reviews into the Gooper Ghosts, you might be wondering, what promo ghosts am I talking about? Well, I'm glad you asked. Way back in the day, you'd get all these different products and items from the real Ghostbusters. Like I have this figure carrying case, I have sheets and blankets, and on them, with the Ghostbusters, you would have these random ghosts. You got this guy, you have this worm guy, and on this case, you have some of my favorite. Like that guy is just this guy, just in a different angle. But on the side you have this ghost who I really like. I always kind of thought he looked like a crescent moon. You have this ghost who looks like he's running in panic. And then one of my all-time favorites is this guy with all the many legs. Let's see. These 6 ghosts match the look and the feel of the promo art perfectly. They all have gross, textured bodies. There's lots of bumps and creases and stuff on them. They all have very expressive faces. When you look at these guys, you know right away that these guys are ghosts from the real Ghostbusters. If you look, you'll also notice that all 6 are primary and secondary colors, and there are no duplicates. H2 Ghosts is 1 ghost, so, he counts as 1. Stay Puft and Bad to the Bone Ghost also came out in the first year, but both of them are very stylized in their own way. Bad to the Bone Ghost is just a skeleton, and Stay Puft, even though he's a Ghostbuster ghost that everybody knows and loves, he doesn't have that same kind of, design that the spooks and specters have. The only ghost later on in the series that, in my opinion, captured this look was the Full Speed Ahead ghost. In my opinion, out of those 6 original ghosts, the biggest and baddest are the 3 Gooper Ghosts. These guys are massive in size, they're super detailed, they look super gross, and they all have a special action feature that uses Ecto Plazm. I've already talked about Squisher and Sludge Bucket, so this time I'm going to talk about Banshee Bomber. Banshee Bomber is honestly my least favorite Gooper Ghost. I think he looks great, but I have some problems with him. Out of the Gooper Ghosts, I'd say that Banshee Bomber is the more rare of the 3. He's a little harder to come by. You don't see him as much. Now, it pains me to say it, but I don't have a box for this guy. And out of the 3, I have the least of this guy. I only have 1 of them. I have like 4 or 5 Squisher, and I have 2 Sludge Buckets. So this is my only one. And when I collected this line, I skipped the box because I was thinking at the time, I don't need that. Now, it's 15 years later, and I cry myself to sleep at night thinking about it every night. Because I don't have the box, I'm going to talk about this amazing poster. All the Gooper Ghosts came with this poster. The front of it, has all these awesome toys you could get. The very top of it says, "This room, protected by the real Ghostbusters." And what's even cooler than that, if you flip it over, there is a calendar. And this is cool because this really is the only other artwork of the Gooper Ghost and a lot of these other ghosts that ever existed. Ah, look, this Valentine's Day, Sludge Bucket is giving his heart to Janine. And here we have Squisher spitting a baseball at Winston's head while Winston holds a very strange looking bat. And today we're going to be talking about Banshee Bomber, and here he is, puking on Ray's hand. Now, fixing your car is hard enough, but could you imagine doing it when you have slime, vomit all over your hands? Banshee Bomber is a bright red color. You know, he's kind of built like a bird or a dragon, because he's got wings and a tail here. The plastic he's made out of feels a little harder than Squisher and Sludge Bucket. I'm pretty sure he's only made up of 3 different pieces. His tail does have articulation. You can move around. And his wings are separate. And this is the biggest problem for me, for this guy, is the wings. Because if you look inside... Oh, shoot. Alright, look. See that? Now, when I tried to get it out of there, it got stuck. But if you look here, there's these little tabs in here. And every single one of them on mine is creased and bent in. So the wings don't really stay in at all. So you're supposed to, you have this button on top. And with this button, you can make him flap his wings. But getting them to stay in there is like, you know, gotta be careful, gotta be careful. The other action feature this guy has is that his mouth opens. And this is how you use his action figure with the Ecto Plazm. You fill his mouth up with Ecto Plazm, and then, boom, you drop it on your guys. There you go. Goes right back in. This is what he looks like on the bottom. He has a very nice texture to scales, but in my opinion, it's a little too uniform. When it comes to displaying Banshee Bomber, you're pretty much limited to just kind of having him sitting there like this. Also, you'll notice that I have his mouth closed. It's because when you try to display him, you know, it might look cool with his mouth open, but he just kind of tips over. I think Banshee Bomber looks cool. I just don't think he looks as cool as the other two. Some of it's the design. Some of it is the texture, the scales. And some of it is this nose he has. I feel like if he had a more menacing looking nose, I would like him a lot more. But right now he just kind of has like a fat, squished nose, and I just don't like it that much. Now, to see what this ghost really has to offer, we gotta use some Ecto Plazm. Unfortunately, all my Ecto Plazm turned to dust once the river of slime dried up. But luckily, I got a substitute. Okay, so the inside of his mouth is kind of like a big cup. The mouth forms here and goes all the way around up to here. So when you pull it down, it gives you a nice area that you can fill up with slime. Where'd I get this slime? Well, somebody blew their nose and I told them I wanted to keep it. So I'm going to put this in there and we're going to drop it on Winston. You got to imagine, Winston's on a call, working overtime. He's only making $11,500 a year, so he's thinking about asking for that raise. And then, all of a sudden, the Banshee Bomber comes in unexpectedly. Now, it's probably going to be a miracle if this guy's wings don't fall off when I do this. These are very loose, and they always fall off when I open the mouth up. So let's see. Oh my gosh. Exactly. I had one mishap, but now we're back to the action. Already it's starting to come out of his mouth. Let's see. Ooh, comes up a lot slower this way. Ooh. It comes out a lot slower than like Squisher, but it still looks really awesome. This is the first time I've ever used these action features for the Gooper Ghosts, and I gotta say, they all look awesome. If I was a kid and I had these way back in the 80s, I would have loved them. You know, I would have got slime all over my parents' carpet, but it would have been worth it. You know, it's a really cool thing. It kind of came out slow when I opened the mouth up, but I think Ecto Plazm was thinner, so probably would have came out a little quicker back then. But other than that, you know, this looked really cool. So, 2 years after the Ghostbusters came out, the TMNT showed up and stole their thunder. So what happened? I think part of it was the Turtles knew their audience. They knew kids loved weird and goofy creatures. The Ghostbusters really stopped focusing on large and crazy ghosts after, you know, the first 2 waves or so. And they just started making most of the enemies and ghosts, they started making them based off of like human anatomy, like the haunted humans and the movie monsters. I liked all of them, but, you know, compared to like Bebop, Rocksteady, Muckman, Scumbag, you know, all those gross, cool Ninja Turtle toys, they really couldn't compete. Just as the Turtles were ramping things up, the Ghostbusters were dialing back a little bit. You know, there were some cool designs, especially the smaller companion ghosts, but, you know, I'd be lying if I said that the later ghosts, like the Goblins, were anywhere near as cool as the original figures and ghosts. I mean, I was kind of let down the further I got into the line, and as a kid, I stopped right before Power Pack. You know, there are some things I missed out on, I'll admit it, such as the terrible teeth from the Goblins and the Ecto Glow series, but, you know, I think that switching over the Turtles, like most people did, was probably the better choice. And, you know, it's a shame, because the Ghostbusters are my favorite franchise of all time. So in final, the Gooper Ghosts were the best of the best, the absolute top shelf of the real Ghostbusters creepy ghosts. And now I'm done. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, that's right. I nearly forgot. There's another one. Next time, I'm going to talk about the mini Gooper Ghosts and the final Gooper Ghost, the Green Ghost Gooper Ghost, or as everyone knows him, Slimer.